And welcome. Tonight, Nigerian workers join their counterparts all over the world to celebrate International Workers' Day, highlighting the struggles, achievements and rights of workers. President Bola Tinubu promises to continue to prioritize workers' welfare. Labor leaders on their own part are demanding the extension of retirement age for civil servants to 65. Labor leaders across the state demand for a review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage to address the cost of living crisis. And U.S. President Donald Trump says Mike Waltz will no longer be the National Security Advisor and will be nominated to serve as U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations. And on business, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and Borno Development Foundation partner to drive socioeconomic growth in the states.
On sports news tonight, 8-time champions Flying Eagles of Nigeria got their campaign at the Under-20 African Cup of Nations off to a perfect start after a 1-0 win over Tunisia today in Cairo, Egypt.
And from the nation's capital, the Platform Africa officially rolls out its first edition in Lagos, bringing experts from around the continent to proffer solutions to regional and continental challenges. Happy Workers' Day to our viewers from across the globe commemorating today. And we begin tonight with how Nigerians marked the day. Also known as May Day, the annual celebration highlights the struggles, achievements and rights of workers around the world. But right here in Nigeria, the organized labor is demanding an upward review of the retirement age for all public and civil servants from 60 to 65 years and years of service from 35 to 40. This is part of the demands put forward by both the President of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, Comrades Joe Ajaero and Festus Osifo, during the May Day celebration held at the Eagle Square in Abuja. The President, Bola Tinubu, who was represented at the event, however, reaffirmed his administration's commitment to the welfare of Nigerian workers. Our correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
Workers from across the Federal Capital Territory in different attires stream into the Eagle Square in Abuja to celebrate May Day and amplify their demands for better working conditions and rights. The leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress sound the alarm over the declining welfare of workers as the cost of living soars.
We suggest once again that government should deliberately put more money into the hands of workers who drive the economy, who drive the local economy, support local industries, and recover and expand, end the statistical gerrymandering, rebasing inflation, unemployment, and GDP figures does not feed the people.
Stop the compression of civic space. Number 2, implement minimum wage that reflect current realities. Number 3, withdraw exploitative tax bill. Number 4, reduce telecom tariffs as agreed from 50 to 35%. Number 5, reverse electricity privatization. Number 6, end impunity, killings, and insecurity.
All the demands listed by the organized labor in the program for the event are upward review of the retirement age of all workers from 60 years to 65 years and service years from 35 years to 40 years, restoration of gratuity payments, withdrawal of the tax bills that are before the National Assembly, as well as the reversal of the suspension of the democratically elected government of Rivers State. However, President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Mr. Mohammed Ngadi, says his government is committed to providing an enabling environment for the workers to thrive.
As a government, we will continue to strengthen labour protections, improving job security, and ensuring fair treatment for all workers in line with international best practices, and at the same time, addressing issues of unemployment, which remains a significant concern.
With the speeches over, the March Past parade kicks off. Some workers speak about their expectations.
Unity is our strength, and we will continue to embrace one another. We'll continue to do everything possible to be accountable.
We want also to continue to plead that something has to be done about the so-called minimum wage, because it cannot take anybody home.
Despite the challenges, a palpable sense of optimism reverberates among the workers as they showcase their diverse professions and vocations. Nigerian workers have spoken, the government has listened. What is next is the question lingering on the minds of these excited workers today. And as the drum of the May Day celebration fades, their wish is that the government will grant their demands. From the Eagle Square in Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
For the northern governors, there is the reaffirmation of their own commitment to sustain the welfare of the labor force in their states. The governors gave the assurance during the May Day celebrations. Here are sights and sounds from the Workers' Day celebration from across northern states.
Workers in northern Nigeria turned out en masse to celebrate their day with their various state governors in attendance. The 2025 May Day celebration in Zamfara State was held at the Gusau Trade Fair Complex with a colorful march past by various affiliates of the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress. The organized labor used the occasion to commend the state government for the payment of over 13.6 billion naira in pension arrears and demanded full implementation of the new minimum wage.
We are not unaware of the growing concern raised by workers, particularly those on grade level 7 and above, regarding the consequential adjustment associated with the new minimum wage. Let me use this occasion to assure you that the government is taking this concern seriously.
In Kano State, Governor Abba Yusuf announced an increase in the monthly pension of retired workers to help cushion the impact of rising inflation.
As part of our broader reform agenda, we have equally reviewed the minimum monthly pension upward from a mega 5,000 naira during the previous administration to a dignified 20,000 naira.
Workers in Plateau State were commended for their endurance, steadfastness, and commitment to duty in spite of the prevailing economic hardship.
We have unfrozen promotions, ensuring that merit, dedication, and commitment to hard work are once again rewarded. We are also considering the upward review of pensions to restore the dignity of our retirees.
In Katsina State, demands were made by workers as they gathered at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium.
We are more concerned on the security issues in our state, which you believe we have a serious challenge.
Improved security was also part of the demands of workers in Sokoto State.
Where you cannot even find a hen that is growing, talkless of a cow or sheep or anything.
The state governor, Amadou Aliyu, affirmed his administration's commitment to improving workers' welfare and creating an enabling environment for them to perform optimally.
We are organizing regular workshops and the training programs to enhance the skills, professionalism, and efficiency to our workforce.
During the May Day celebration held at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi State, the state government's recent decision to recruit over 10,000 new workers into the civil service was a major highlight of the event.
We appreciate the recent approval of His Excellency for the recruitment of 10,000 workers into the state civil service. This in addition to previous approval of 3 program teachers to replace those that retire to improve their education.
Governor Umar Namadi of Jigawa State joined labor unions in Dutse to mark the 2025 Workers' Day.
The pension scheme in Jigawa State, which was almost collapsing when we came in, we have successfully injected over 7 billion naira to sustain the pension scheme.
Kaduna State workers were not left out as they joined in the celebration with Governor Ubasani in attendance.
Since the inception of our administration, we have paid
cumulatively a sum of 10.4 billion in gratuities, death benefits, and accrued rights in the contributory pension scheme. This is unprecedented.
Workers in northern Nigeria, like their counterparts across the country, believe that the promises of the various state governments would be kept to ensure that workers' welfare is prioritized.
Well, in the hearts of Nigeria's bustling commercial hub, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has delivered a powerful message of support to workers across Lagos State. Addressing the 2025 Workers' Day celebration in Lagos Island, the governor pledged to tackle all the concerns raised by the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress.
The vibrant energy of Lagos is on full display today at the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Onikon, where workers from every sector have gathered in a show of unity and celebration. It's a sea of color as the city marks the 2025 Workers' Day, honoring the dedication and hard work of Lagos State's workforce. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, alongside his deputy Kadri Hamzat, mingled with the crowd at the 2025 Workers' Day festivities. The duo exchanged warm pleasantries with a wide range of groups and associations, sharing in the excitement of the day's celebrations. The state's head of service takes center stage, highlighting key initiatives aimed at enhancing the welfare of Lagos workers. Chief among the announcements are the firm commitment to the full implementation of the new minimum wage, alongside other initiatives.
In the public service, the new minimum wage of 85,000 has been implemented effectively since July 2024, with all arrears fully paid.
The spotlight is on reclaiming the civic space amidst challenging economic times. The conversation is not just about the future, but also a strong appeal to parastatals still yet to implement the new minimum wage across the state. It's a powerful moment of advocacy as workers demand progress and accountability.
The workers currently are groaning under the weight of bills that they cannot afford following the increase on electricity tariff. This is not the dream that we strive for.
Some of the agencies and some of the parastatals, they are yet to implement the new minimum wage. We want the Mr. Governor to intervene.
Even in the rain, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu embraces all the requests put forward by the unions, offering a firm commitment to their swift implementation. His assurances marks a decisive movement in strengthening the relationship between the state government and its workforce.
I've adopted our speech as mine has been read. We will implement all of the things that are in the speech.
The 2025 Workers' Day celebration is wrapped up with a vibrant march past, as various groups take to the streets, marching with hope and determination. Their message is clear. They await swift action on their concerns as they continue to push for a future where their plights are fully addressed.
In part two, after the break, we will have more on the celebration of Workers' Day in other parts of the country. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Nigerian workers join their counterparts all over the world to celebrate International Workers' Day, highlighting the struggles, achievements and rights of workers. President Bola Tinubu promises to continue to prioritize workers' welfare. Labor leaders on their own part are demanding the extension of retirement age for civil servants to 65. Labor leaders across the states demand for a review of the 70,000 naira minimum wage to address the cost of living crisis in the country. And U.S. President Donald Trump says that Mr. Mike Waltz will no longer be his national security advisor and will be nominated to serve as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. We continue with the Workers' Day celebrations, where workers across the southern parts of Nigeria have also joined their counterparts in other states to celebrate May Day with colorful parades and funfair. From Abeokuta in Ogun State to Oyo, Ondo, Edo, Imo, as well as Rivers State, workers converge on various centers to commemorate the day.
To express my gratitude and salute you
in Abuja, the Ogun State capital. While workers here are appreciative to the governor for welfare packages ranging from pensions and gratuity, they want him to implement the new minimum wage as well as the suspension of the contributory pension scheme. Governor Dapo Abiodun, however, pledged his commitment to workers' welfare.
Let me reassure you that my administration remains unwavering in the commitment to fulfilling all our promises. We are a promise-keeping administration.
In Ondo State, the drumbeat of Workers' Day carried a familiar rhythm: welfare first. Despite the state government's implementation of a 73,000 minimum wage, labor unions say it still falls short of meeting the basic needs of workers.
There is economic crisis everywhere, especially in our country now. What we are getting now cannot even get us a bag of rice. We are to going by what we are earning now.
In Oyo State, workers converge on the Lekon Salami Sports Complex for the May Day celebration, where the state government asked the labor movement to partner with it to move the state from poverty to prosperity.
Our achievements stand as a testament to our shared commitment to building a progressive, worker-friendly state. Therefore, call on you to reciprocate this goodwill with unwavering dedication, professionalism, and loyalty.
2 labor centers, that of the NLC and TUC, host separate Workers' Day event in River State, Nigeria's South-South region. Even as the venues were set apart, both unions were united in their key demands for restoration of democratic governance in the state and better welfare for workers.
We are celebrating, we are also protesting regards to welfare of our members and concerning the restoration of democratic governance in River State.
Now some cheery news from Edo State, where the state governor, Monday Okpebholo, has approved a new minimum wage of 75,000 naira for Edo workers. The governor is also reviewing over 3,000 Edo State teachers for employment.
Our commitment does not end at that. We have also approved health insurance coverage for our retirees.
Workers in Cross River State are not left out of the celebration as they join the rest of the country to mark the 2025 Workers' Day with colorful parades and cultural displays in Calabar.
I feel the gravity of your expectation. I feel the urgencies of your cry for better welfare package, timely promotion, reliable pension, and an environment that dignifies your noble labor.
In the southern state of Imo, Governor Hope Uzodinma discloses plan to initiate a new salary structure for teachers and medical personnel. He urges workers who are yet to receive their wages on the minimum wage to go and finalize their verification.
This government that I'm at the head remains committed to your welfare. I will work with you. But as I listen to your parents, also listen to my own parents.
Just as organized labor in Anambra presented Governor Chukwuma Soludo with the Beacon of Hope Award at the Dr. Alex Ekweme Square, Awka, the state capital. As the chants fade and the banners come down, the message from Nigerian workers remains loud and clear. Fair pay, dignity in labor, and better living conditions are non-negotiable. With renewed calls for the implementation of a living wage and stronger protection of workers' rights, the ball is now in the government's court. Whether these demands will translate into actions remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the voice of labor is unified, and it is not backing down.
On July the 29th, 2024, President Bola Tinubu signed the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira into law. That piece of legislation followed months of negotiations with labor leaders and representatives of the organized private sector. Although the law helped to lay to rest the many agitations and protests by the unions, it did not completely eliminate workers' agitations in the workspace as attention gradually shifted to its implementation. As Nigeria celebrates Workers' Day, our next report focuses on the level of implementation of the country's minimum wage.
It has been almost 1 year since the new minimum wage came into force in July last year. Most of these negotiations happened behind closed doors, with participants often keeping straight faces as they leave the venue. On the final day of negotiations, Labour recommended a 250,000 naira minimum wage as against the government's offer of 62,000 naira, which was later passed by the National Assembly.
Third reading taken and passed.
The icing on the cake was the signing of a 70,000 naira minimum wage by President Bola Tinubu on July 29, 2024. Notwithstanding the president's assent, the troubles were not over as the attention of workers shifted to implementation. On December 1st, 4 months after the new minimum wage was signed, the Nigerian Labour Congress directed its members to proceed on a nationwide strike. The organized labour continued to mount pressure on the government, especially in states that are yet to implement the new wage law.
What some states said they have implemented is not a minimum wage at all, because they came out with a table that is not even properly graduated. So most of the states have not implemented. There are very few states we can give kudos to in this aspect.
And we still have some states where local government workers are still not enjoying the minimum wage. States like Borno State, Gombe State, Yobe State, FCT, they are still yet to start implementation of this minimum wage.
There are at least 7 states that are yet to implement the new minimum wage. The states include Zamfara, Sokoto, Osun, Cross River, Imo, and Plateau. 29 states have so far implemented the new wage law, with some paying above 70,000 naira. However, workers say the current inflation rate has eroded the value of the new wage.
The devil in the economy is the foreign exchange, because if you check with the international market, nothing has changed absolutely. The minimum wage as it is today cannot sadly buy a bag of rice.
What was signed last year as minimum wage has been completely eroded with inflation and the high cost of living. So it's nothing really to celebrate when you talk about minimum wage.
As workers in Nigeria celebrate the 2025 Workers' Day, many hope that the new minimum wage will be fully implemented by all employers of labor, and that the federal government will work to stabilize the naira so as to protect the value of the new wage.
We continue the news at 10 now as we head over to Abuja studios, where Gloria Umezuke is standing by to take us through more stories. Hello, Gloria. Over to you.
Thank you as always, Anne. Now, the anticipation is finally over. The Platform Africa has officially rolled out its first edition of the summit, bringing together curious minds and top experts across 4 locations in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital. The groundbreaking initiative by the founder of the Covenant Nation Church, Pastor Poju Uyemade, is designed to unite diverse talents across the continent, tackling pressing regional and continental challenges, as well as unlocking innovative solutions. Our next report highlights key discussions at one of the sessions of the summit in Igomu, Lagos, which targets entrepreneurs.
The first edition of the Platform Africa kicks off on a high note as many bright minds and entrepreneurs gather in Lagos to witness the dawn of a new era in African problem-solving and creativity. The convener, Pastor Kwadwo Oyemade, delivers the opening address, commending Africans' global achievements and feats and celebrating African success stories over the years worldwide.
Africa presently is a continent brimming with promise, a land of boundless opportunities, a beacon of hope for the future. For too long, Africa has been misunderstood, often reduced to stereotypes of poverty and conflict. But the narrative is changing, and it is time we recognize Africa not for its challenges, but for its extraordinary potential.
Delivering keynote addresses are enthusiastic speakers from Zimbabwe, Nigeria, and Kenya. They tackle present questions and challenges faced by entrepreneurs, offering valuable insights and expertise to drive business growth and innovation. Former executive chairman of Econet Wireless and founder of the Spiritage Group, Zachary Wazara, elaborates on the power of ideas, philosophy, and culture, and the crucial roles they play in unlocking entrepreneurial potential.
So traditionally, and for generations, ideas have shaped how business is constructed, how business is built, how the marketplace operates. Ideas. Good ideas and bad ideas have impacted organizations, have impacted the marketplace. Philosophers have shaped the way we think, the way we act, the way we approach different types of things.
Meanwhile, Group Managing Director of Sahara Power Group, Kola Adeshino, encourages many to challenge their curiosity and think differently by finding opportunities where others don't.
If you don't nurture your power of observation to note what is going on around you and read those things as opportunities rather than complaints, you will remain where you are. There has been no human being born of a woman that has grown phenomenally by staying in the realm of complaint and expecting that prosperity will come knocking. No. Everybody that has become successful sustainably, they did something in the environment others are complaining about.
Founder and CEO of Melvin Marsh International Limited, Flora Mutahi, says she imagines the African continent where the people prioritizes collaboration in order to drive key success and growth.
We must act boldly, strategically, and we must act together, which is why I was saying that the inclusion of Africa together is so important. So today I want you to imagine with me an Africa that solves her own problems, feeds herself, exports to the rest of the world, where our youth are not actually begging for jobs, but creating them. And this is the Africa I want to say that we want to build together.
The journey to achieving business success in today's economy can be challenging for entrepreneurs. But experts here believe that creating laboratories of ideas and effectively executing them is essential for long-term growth. And most importantly, solving problems and driving innovation are among the most rewarding aspects of entrepreneurship.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's Economic Summit Group and Borno Development Foundation partner to drive socio-economic growth in the state. But that's in business news. Let's join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Now, staying with the summit, as the Lekki axis, the Platform Africa is amplifying the voices of women who are not just leading, but redefining the marketplace. Bold, brilliant, and driven by purpose, these trailblazing women from across the African continent, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Botswana, and Uganda, are sharing their insights on what it truly means to lead with power and intention.
Today is a beautiful day in history.
The Platform Africa's Women in Leadership and Business Summit is all about navigating the marketplace as a woman, leveraging authenticity, resilience and innovation to lead and thrive.
What an absolute pleasure it is to be here today.
The conversation is bold, forward-looking and unapologetically powerful.
I stand before you today not as an employee of a high net worth media company,
nor a woman defined by any professional title, but simply as a woman on a healing journey. The reflections I share with you today are deeply personal. They're drawn from my own experiences and my insights, and they speak to the human journey beyond external achievements.
Here, women leaders from across Africa, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Botswana, and Uganda come together to discuss how to create space for a future led by women without losing the values that make their leadership unique.
The business of the future is female. Africa's future will be driven by women in business. Already, women account for nearly 60% of Africa's self-employed population. Yet they face systemic barriers in accessing finance, markets, and formal structures, and that has to change. As we rethink our continent, we must reimagine an economy that truly works for women.
We need to create an opportunity to remove the obstacles that make it difficult for women to compete fairly in the world, especially in corporate. And for those of you who are aspiring to be leaders, we need to support other women around us and to hold up those who have managed to break through. We are sometimes our worst enemies as women.
But it's not just about what women face, but also how they rise. From emotional resilience, when ambitions run high, to mental clarity, the speakers bring truth and tools.
Imposter syndrome. I saw a video about it, and the person was saying it's something that others make you feel. Others make you feel like you don't belong. And that's why you feel that way. But in reality, if you're there, it's because you deserve to be in that room.
Burnout does not announce itself with a loud voice or sirens like the police cars. It whispers. It whispers in skipped meals and shallow breaths, in early morning emails and tears you quietly wipe away in an airport bathroom so no one sees. Burnout often looks like high-functioning excellence on the outside, but in the inside, it's a quiet collapse. I had forgotten that rest is not a reward for finishing everything on my to-do list. Rest was a requirement for survival.
The very first edition of the Platform Africa in Lagos lands with a resounding call to rethink our continent, and nowhere was the energy more evident than at the Women in Leadership and Business Summit.
Now, what inspires a leader to trade the boardroom for public service? The Platform Africa Summit addressed this very question, shedding light on the potential of bringing private sector skills to the public arena. The conversation begins with the story of Tola Odeyemi, whose successful transition from the corporate world to public leadership serves as an example.
One thing public sector teaches you have to have resilience. How to learn without any cynicism. And the only reason that people will criticize you is because you are relevant. If, as people talk about NIPOs, I find hundreds of people who are still interested, whether they are criticizing me, whether they are praising me, whether they're giving ideas, all this just shows that there's relevance, and it's something that you must get used to, because your citizens, the citizens of Nigeria or wherever you are from, wherever you are working, are your primary constituents. And the thing is, another two things that I learned is that optics matter and symbolism matters. In that if people do not see the change, if they cannot identify with the change that you are making, meaning that sometimes if they cannot even see what you are doing. For private sector, I'm used to barreling my head down and just working. Who cares about posting what I did? But if there's no legitimacy if people cannot see themselves in the change that you're making, and if they don't see the change that you're making. So through all of this, I gathered some lessons and truths about what it really takes to cross from private sector to public sector and thrive in it.
The discussion, themed from private sector to public service, showcases other inspiring voices from various sectors, providing real-world perspectives and encouragement for those considering a similar path of civic engagement.
As a junior person in public service, you bring in fresh ideas. A lot of them will be implemented, often without credit. But know that your contributions are being watched. People are watching you. They're always watching you. They are noted. More opportunities will be given to you to make contributions, and eventually you'll get the credit if that is what you're after. But the goal shouldn't be personal glory. It's about impact. And if you can change the system from inside, then let anyone take the credit so long as lives are changed. The various experiences didn't just teach me resilience. It reminded me that leadership isn't defined by titles or visibility, but by responsibility. That the true measure of impact isn't who gets mentioned or who gets helped. As we grow, as we lead, we must do so with conviction, not ego, and with heart, not just hustle.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Anne, in Lagos for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Gloria. Away from the summit, the Imo State government says that it will implement the recommendation of the National Judicial Council on the appointment of Justice Theophilus Nzeoku as the acting Chief Judge of the state. A statement by the State Commissioner for Information, Public Orientation and Strategy, Declan Emelumba, says that Governor Hope Uzodimma appointed Justice Theophilus Nzeoku as the acting Chief Judge based on credible reports available to him at the time, which indicated that he was the most senior judicial officer not encumbered by unresolved issues, adding that the position, along with the supporting circumstances, were duly communicated to the NJC. The Commissioner further explains that while the appointment was made in good faith and within the confines of the law, the Imo State government will, in line with its long-standing respect for due process and the judiciary, comply with NJC's recommendation. To politics now, former Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara says that President Bola Tinubu will only be eligible for a second term based on his performance. Speaking after a public lecture held at the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in Abuja, Mr. Dogara said that President Tinubu, in the course of his leadership, has shown courage through his reforms on the economy.
I want a situation where the president can win by the power of his example, not by the example of his power, to say that I'm forcing myself because I have my hands on the levers of the coercive apparatus of state. No, but he should win on account that he has done very well, and that a lot of people in this country support him. And I think he has the opportunity, because some of the reforms he has initiated, it will take courage, and he has demonstrated that courage. So we want to see the fruits. And then I believe by the time Nigerians are beginning to see the fruits, suffering easing of food becoming more abundant on their table, they will be able to come to a judgment as to what they need to do in terms of support. But I think that overall I'm happy, and because of the courage the president has shown.
To company news now, Unity Bank has launched GenFi, an app targeted at reaching kids and teenagers between the ages of 8 and 18. GenFi at Unity Bank is a financial platform designed for kids and their parents and guardians to help them learn about and manage finances together. Management of the bank says that this new product is aimed at making the young within our society financially literate and responsible.
Children drawn from 8 schools within Lagos are here at the headquarters of Unity Bank to witness the bank's latest product, the GenFi.
We're learning from an expert.
The young ones are here with their parents, who are also invited to understand how the app works. Managing Director, CEO of Unity Bank PLC, Mr. Ebenezer Kolawole, in his address says the new product is in line with the bank's future plans.
Today, we in Unity Bank celebrate more than just this app. We celebrate the dreams of the youth, their ambitions, as well as the power of discipline and financial planning to shape their future. So I therefore bring you warm greetings and goodwill message from our board, from our management, as well as the entire staff of Unity Bank PLC.
Divisional Head Retail and SME Unity Bank PLC, Adenike Abimbola, states that the aim is to enable children become financially disciplined.
Imagine a teenager tracking their monthly allowances, budgeting for school supplies, and developing a sense of responsibility that shapes their future. That is the power of GenFi.
What's more important is that GenFi will involve children and their parents, as they also experience how the app works.
The Kids tab is where all your children are, so if you have multiple children, if you click on Kids, you can see this person has only one child.
It's a very brilliant product because not only does it have the educational part of it, it also helps children execute. So you're learning about, saving and investing, and you're also executing by saving and investing.
Parents and children appreciate Unity Bank PLC for creating GenFi.
Parents guide and kids grow.
Some of the kids you have at home, you have out there, they really know if they actually inculcate these savings habits from childhood. But when they come to this kind of environment and they see people around, even getting to know where some of their parents actually works, helps them a lot. It shapes their mindset.
It's so motivating for young kids like me, because there are also kids out there that don't have the privilege to see this kind of opportunities. I want to say a big thank you to them.
I've learned how to save money, and that entrepreneurship isn't just about making money. It's about solving your own problems and others.
GenFi is designed to teach kids about saving, budgeting, and managing their money. The app facilitates communication between parents and children about their finances, fostering a collaborative learning environment and a demonstration of Unity Bank's commitment to the proper development of the Nigerian child.
We have more stories for you from the world of business. Will Ibong is standing by.
Thank you, Anne. Now, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, and Borno Development Foundation, BDF, have signed an MOU to accelerate socio-economic development in Borno and northern Nigeria. The partnership targets post-conflict recovery, poverty reduction, and economic empowerment, especially for displaced persons, women, and youth. It also focuses on policy advocacy, research, and program implementation. Leaders of both organizations say the alliance would serve as a catalyst for long-term stability and prosperity in the region. Now, the Securities and Exchange Commission is warning Nigerians to steer clear of Tofro.com, a crypto trading platform it describes as illegal and unregistered. The SEC says Tofro operates like a Ponzi scheme, luring users with promises of high returns, relying on referrals, and failing to honor withdrawal requests. The warning comes as concerns grow over similar crypto scams. Just last month, Nigerians lost money to Crypto Bridge Exchange, or CBEX, another unregistered platform that also blocked withdrawals. The SEC is warning the public to verify all investment platforms on the SEC website before committing their funds. Now, outside our shores in the U.S., weekly job claims rose unexpectedly to 241,000 for the week ending April the 26th, up 18,000 from the prior week and higher than the forecast of 225,000, according to the Labor Department. Continuing claims also increased to 1.92 million, the highest since November 2021, with a rise mostly coming from New York, where claims more than doubled, possibly due to spring break. Despite the uptick, the four-week moving average remains steady at 226,000. Economists expect Friday's non-farm payrolls report, but these claims won't be included. Meanwhile, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is urging the Trump administration to implement a tariff exclusion process to prevent a recession and protect small businesses. In a letter, the Chamber called for automatic tariff relief for small businesses and products not available domestically. CEO Susan Clark warns that many small businesses could face irreparable harm due to the tariffs and requested a quick process for businesses to obtain exclusions if tariffs threaten jobs. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller rejects short-term tariff relief but points to tax cuts as support for small businesses. And that's business news. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Will. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says that Mr. Mike Waltz will no longer be his national security advisor, but nominates him to serve as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Hey, Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
The US and Ukraine have signed a deal that will give Washington access to some of the war-torn country's natural resources. Months in the making, it sets up an investment fund that Ukraine hopes will cement US assistance as the country struggles to repel Russia after 3 years of invasion. The Ukrainians have now published the deal, and there have been public statements from both sides.
You don't have the cards.
Trump has previously demanded that Ukraine pay back the $350 billion of aid that he claims has been provided by the US during the war, a condition that Volodymyr Zelensky rejected. But Washington appears to have made a concession.
Today's agreement signals clearly to Russian leadership that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term.
He has been looking to present this minerals deal as a success, and he can point to that as the way forward for the other promise he's made, which is to end the war.
49th Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Former Vice President Kamala Harris has criticized the Trump administration's agenda in her first major speech since losing the U.S. election. Speaking at an event run by Emerge, a political organization that recruits and trains Democratic women to run for public office, she singled out the administration's handling of the economy and immigration policy.
Instead of an administration working to advance America's highest ideals, we are witnessing the wholesale abandonment of those ideals.
The estranged husband of a woman who served a poisonous mushroom lunch to her family says it was very rare for her to hold social gatherings at home. Simon Patterson was invited to the fatal meal prepared by Erin Patterson, but decided not to attend the day before. Mr. Patterson is the first witness in the trial of Mrs. Patterson, who is charged with the murder of 3 relatives and the attempted murder of another, with the case centering on a beef Wellington lunch at her house in July 2023. Ms. Patterson, aged 50, has pleaded not guilty, and her defense team says she panicked after unintentionally serving poison to family members she loved. A Kenyan member of parliament has been shot dead in the streets of the capital Nairobi by gunmen on a motorcycle in a suspected assassination. Police said the attackers had been trailing Charles Onongo Ware's vehicle before one of them got off the motorcycle and shot him at close range. Local media reported the opposition MP had 2 months ago complained about threats to his life. After the shooting, his driver and bodyguard, both unhurt, managed to rush the injured MP to Nairobi Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo are seeking to lift former President Joseph Kabila's immunity from prosecution after accusing him of backing rebels in the east. There was a substantial body of documents, testimony, and material facts linking Kabila to the M23 armed group, according to the Justice Minister, Constant Mutumba. The M23 currently controls parts of the mineral-rich east of the country after making significant advances earlier this year. Tesla has denied reports that it has contacted recruitment firms to launch a search for a replacement for Elon Musk as chief executive. The Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday that the electric car firm's board began looking for a successor to Mr. Musk last month. It said this was because of frustration around Mr. Musk's focus on his job in US President Donald Trump's administration and Tesla's sinking share price. And the world's oldest person, Brazilian nun Sister Ina Canavaro Lucas, has died at the age of 116. Born on the 8th of June 1908 in the southern Brazilian state of Rio Grande do Sul, Ina Canavaro Lucas became a Catholic nun in her early 20s. Her family said she always celebrated her birthday with a cake in the shape of the football stadium of her beloved sport club Internacional. Sister Ina, who was blessed by Pope Francis in 2018, put her longevity down to her faith, saying that God is the secret to life. The title of the oldest living person will now pass to 115-year-old Ether Catterham from Surrey in England.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. 8-time champions Flying Eagles of Nigeria got their Group B campaign at this year's Under-20 African Cup of Nations off to a perfect start, thanks to a hard-fought 1-0 win against Tunisia today at the June 30th Stadium in Cairo. Awa Ibrahim was the hero for the Flying Eagles, as his first half strike was enough to secure the 3 points. It's now back-to-back wins for the Flying Eagles against Tunisians. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has said he will do what he can to assist fans disgruntled with the club's ticketing policy. 4 supporters groups wrote an open letter to the manager this week asking him to speak to the chief executive Ferron on the matters as they prepare to hold a protest before Friday's match at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Guardiola said the team needs the fans backing as they look forward to securing Champions League qualification. That sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. Nigerian workers today joined their counterparts from all over the world to celebrate International Workers' Day, highlighting the struggles, achievements and rights of workers. Also today, President Bola Tinubu, in his message to Nigerian workers, promised to continue to prioritize workers' welfare. The labor leaders, on their own part, are however demanding the extension of retirement age for civil servants to 65. But that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwaude. Once again, happy Workers' Day. Good night and stay safe.